Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Log Show here. And man, there's a lot to talk about all over the world of sports. The Yankees are the main talk of the town right now after winning that series with the Dodgers. Got a lot to talk about with the Yankees, man. What's coming up? The trade deadline. We're now post All-Star break. Who should they trade? Is it time to get rid of Dominguez? Is it time to get rid of Spencer Jones? Is it time to get rid of Volpe? Who are these players that we are going to be willing to give up to go get these pieces that we need as the New York Yankees to go take that next step to be the top team in the American League? Not only that, they are playing well right now. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They don't get swept by the Dodgers. They play well in that first game, and then Cole gives up that home run. You get smacked in that first game of the doubleheader. Come back in the second game of the doubleheader. You win 2-1. Can't complain about that, but they're staying afloat without Judge. So how do the Yankees continue to stay afloat without Aaron Judge, without Giancarlo Stanton? We'll get into that. For those of you UFC fans, you know I love to talk my UFC. This weekend was a fight night between Dricus du Plessis and Kamaru Usman in the middleweight division. And boy, did DDP look good. DDP beat the hell out of Kamaru Usman. So we'll talk about what that means for the middleweight division going forward. Maybe do we see DDP get another title shot? If not, who he will fight beforehand before he can necessarily get that next title fight after such an impressive win over a former champion like Kamaru Usman. And also NFL executives last week. I guess I missed this, but last week's NFL executives came out with a list of top 10 quarterbacks across the entire NFL. So I'll be reacting to that. I looked at the list a little bit, but I'll be reacting to that, giving my thoughts, my feelings, who's left off the list, who maybe is ranked poorly on the list, and all of that. But I'm getting right into it with the Yankees, man. When it comes to the trade deadline for the New York Yankees coming up, I think I've talked enough, and I think everybody here who, is a Yankees fan kind of knows enough at this point who those trade targets are. Luis Arias, Ryan Jeffers, Mason Miller, those other big names that are these trade targets for the New York Yankees. But now we have to start looking at, yes, have we as the New York Yankees consistently sat here and we love to talk about our farm system in and out and how we home grow all these players, but it hasn't really worked out for us lately with Volpe and Dominguez, and Spencer Jones wasn't as good as nearly hyped up when he came up. And all of these other things with the New York Yankees, where now you look at this and you go get a player like a Ryan Jeffers, especially to go get a player like a Mason Miller, and to go get these stars that you're talking about, a Luis Arias, a CJ Abrams, I'm blanking on the other shortstop. I have it written down here. Oh, Jeremy Pena. I apologize for forgetting about Jeremy Pena. I just don't think we're actually going to genuinely get it. But a Jeremy Pena. Those types of players are going to not only require big-time prospects, but in those big-time prospects might include some of these lower tier players on our team that necessarily haven't or have shown up but are still young to have potential. You look at a player like the biggest example and the biggest talk right now of a player that the Yankees are using as a piece in trades would be Jason Dominguez, the Martian, as he used to be dubbed when he was coming up through the farm system. Dominguez was someone who was called up very early in his career. Dominguez is only 24 years old. And I mean, it's something he's struggled with throughout his career. I think everybody knows that he's not an exceptional defensive outfielder. What we were always hoping out of Jason Dominguez was to be these electric, almost leadoff type of player who has game-breaking speed and all of this, but none of that never really fully developed. And he hits at an average clip. I think as of right now he's batting, what is it? 230. And Dominguez is somebody who I think going into the year, a lot of Yankees fans, we were kind of already done with Dominguez. I think we had felt that train had sailed with how early we had called him up, how much we expected him to make that next step. And when you look at the New York Yankees, I think it's kind of inevitable that if you are going to go make a move for a Ryan Jeffers, if you are going to go make a move for a Jeremy Pena, one of these star players, a Mason Miller, that you are in the rumors and in the talks and everybody's saying that you are willing to go get these dudes, you are going to have to 100% give up one of these two players in Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez, and it's the decision of who'd you rather give up. I think that's what we more have to talk about. I think obviously everyone would love to see Volpe get replaced or Volpe leave town, and everybody has what they have to say about the catchers, but nobody's taking Austin Wells. And so when you look at what this New York Yankees team necessarily has left, it's these two young outfielders that, surprisingly enough, when you look, a lot of people forget this because of how long because of Dominguez getting called up a little bit earlier and kind of being hyped a little bit earlier in his career, getting drafted a little bit younger and signed to the Yankees at a younger age than Spencer Jones. Jones is Dominguez's elder. You're sitting at Jones at 25 and Dominguez at 23, so, you feel like you have more of a time clock with Jason Dominguez. Now, you're looking at two very different players here. You're looking at Spencer Jones, whose upside is going to be that raw power that he has from his bat. As much as Spencer Jones has this high strikeout rate that he had in AAA, that he's had throughout his time in the majors, in his just over 70 at-bats this season for the Yankees, he struggles with striking out, and I think that's a very well-known thing about Spencer Jones. I'm not having breaking analysis and a hot take by saying Spencer Jones fucking strikes out a lot. He does. And he's 25 years old. When I pull it up and I look at my notes, you're looking at a dude that Jason Dominguez is a switch hitter. Spencer Jones is a lefty hitter. This team is abundantly filled with lefties. You're looking at two outfielders that are both batting around 230. Dominguez has 5 home runs this year in the majors. Spencer Jones has 2. 7 RBIs to 11 RBIs, an OPS of 687 compared to 656. Like, we're looking at two very similar statistically when it comes to OPS and the basic statistics. I haven't really looked into the advanced statistics because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm a casual baseball fan. I'm not here to tell you that I'm some baseball expert. I will talk about the Yankees, what I feel like we need to do, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I, played in the MLB for 15 years and know all this. Some of those advanced stats for baseball, whip plus minus and all that doesn't really make sense to me. Whip runs wins over replacement. Those make sense to me. I just wasn't able to find either of those stats to compare the two with. But when you look at the basic stats, as I was getting to, you're looking at two very similar players. It's just you're looking at Spencer Jones, who his upside offensively is going to be with the power of that bat. A lot of people used to call him Baby Judge when he was in the minors, and he has this beautiful lefty swing that, in Yankee Stadium, if developed correctly, could be such a weapon with short porch right there for him to poke it over if he can just see the ball a little bit better. While Dominguez, you're looking at a player where, yes, I can sit here and talk about the upside of Jason Dominguez, and that is the weird thing that when we talk about their age, like, I feel like when we talk about the age of Jason Dominguez and you hear 23, you feel like he's so young. And you hear 25 for Spencer Jones, he feels old. And the reason for that is I feel like Yankees fans have gotten used to Dominguez. You know what I mean? He was an October call-up 2 years ago. He played all season last year and got a whole new number. And we've slowly seen this development of Jason Dominguez where, while that development of Jason Dominguez was happening at a major league level, the development of Spencer Jones was happening at a AA and a AAA level, and he was getting so hyped up and having all these exceptional numbers. While even still, if you look at those AAA numbers for the past 2 years and AA numbers from the past 2 years of Spencer Jones, he has an extremely high strikeout rate. This is a common year after year thing for Mr. Spencer Jones is he tends to have a poor strikeout rate. And it's a situation where I feel like Yankee fans, we feel like Spencer Jones is so much younger than he is, which makes him feel so much less expendable than a player like Jason Dominguez. Like, I wasn't sure of their exact age. I knew they were both early in their 20s, but if you asked me about a week ago before, or a month ago, before I kind of really started getting more back into Yankees baseball, the age of Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez, I would have told you the opposite. I would have told you that Jason Dominguez was 25 and Spencer Jones was like 23. So when you look at using these two as a trade target, I can almost sit here and argue with you that Spencer Jones is a better piece to get rid of. You don't have as much as that timetable with Spencer Jones. While, yes, you have this dream of pairing him with Aaron Judge and them being these two back-to-back righty-lefty bomb hitters in Yankee Stadium that have these similar swings and these similar launch angles and are both gigantic humans. Spencer Jones at 6'7", and maybe it's time to go, you know what, though? If I'm going to give that up to go get Ryan Jeffers, and you're giving up two maybe less prospects that aren't on the level of a George Lombard or some of these other prospects, that are in, like Laurent Hay, or however you pronounce it. I can never get that guy's name Laurent Hay. But the minor league pitcher that is, I believe, ranked third right now in the Yankees prospect rankings. I think that's like, I think that's where you have to leave it, is when you compare these two statistically. And I don't know, I feel like I haven't seen Spencer Jones on the baseball field in a little bit, and so maybe it's recency bias, but you're looking at a team here when, with Judge and Giancarlo healthy, you got Judge, Grish, Bellinger, Dominguez, Spencer Jones. That's 5 outfielders right there. And I just don't see the use for a 5th outfielder, and that goes down to, if we're going to be honest, nobody sees a world. The rumors would be through the roof right now if anybody saw a world where the Yankees were trading Trent Grisham. That's not happening, nor do I want that to happen. Bellinger and Judge are locks. Stanton even plays the outfield at some time. So when he gets back, you have 6 outfielders, which even more adds to the fact that, like I've been hammering home the point, Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez going into this trade deadline to go get what you need to do are 2 very expendable players. I don't care what the upside is of these two. I know what I've been told about Spencer Jones year in and year out, about him. He's going to be amazing in Yankee Stadium. He's going to bomb baseball left and right. Look at what he's doing in AAA, this and that. And it was the same thing with Dominguez 2.5, 3 years ago when he was coming up, and he's the Martian. He's going to be, he's like this alien. He's going to be so fast, and he's going to be something the Yankees haven't had in such a long time. And as of right now, Jason Dominguez has not fully developed into what he has wanted to be. As of right now, in the small sample size that we have of the 72 Major League at-bats that we have of Spencer Jones, he is struggling in the exact way that everybody expected him to struggle, which is strikeouts and not getting the bat on the ball, which is a huge problem. That is a huge problem, in my opinion. Like, I'm one of those types of baseball fans where, and I think anybody who watches baseball feels this way, the bat on the ball is better than a strikeout, obviously, So I want you grounding out to second base rather than you striking out, because at least I know you're getting the bat on the ball. You're seeing the ball somewhat well. Where when I'm looking at a high strikeout rate from someone like a Spencer Jones, I'm sitting there, I'm worried. I'm like, man, like, can you not see the ball? Like, are the pitches at this level just that much worse that your strikeout rate is still such a big problem in the major leagues? Are you nervous? Like, what is it that is making it that you're lacking the ability to get the bat on the ball at least get me the bat on the ball. You know, I think I'd feel a lot better about Spencer Jones and his first 72 at-bats for the New York Yankees, and I wouldn't have him on this list if they were consistently deep flyouts to right field and you know, a hard hit ground ball to third, but you're not getting that out of Spencer Jones. You're just not getting that out of Spencer Jones. And it's the same thing for Dominguez. You're not getting what you expected out of Jason Dominguez. I mean, since coming back, he's been playing decent at best. You know, it's been 30 games since Jason Dominguez has come back from his shoulder injury. And when he first got called up, he was playing well. And then he runs into the wall. He hurts his shoulder. And since then, he's batting .237 with a .404 OPS. Like, he's not... And like I said, when it comes to getting these dudes at premier positions, like when I tell you, right, that somebody like Mason Miller, and I know this is the second or third year in a row that we're sitting here with rumors at the trade deadline of the New York Yankees going to get Mason Miller, but... And this is no knock on David Bednar, who has absolutely been playing very well recently, played very well in that Dodgers series, got a very clutch strikeout against Shohei at one point. Mason Miller's a different animal, though. He's got like over 70 strikeouts, I'm pretty sure, so far this year. Let me double check that because I just heard that before I went live and didn't fact check it. Probably shouldn't have said that before I didn't fact check. Yeah, Mason Miller has 75 strikeouts this year. Has an ERA of a .89. That's best closer in the league potential. That is when this dude is put in the game is over. Type of level of closer that Mason Miller has able to be. And he was like that for the Athletics, and he's been like that for the Padres over the past year and a half. And if you're going to tell me, hey, you lose Spencer Jones and a few prospects for Mason Miller, what Yankee fan is saying no to that? I'm going to be honest. What Yankee fan is saying no to Spencer Jones, 2 prospects for Mason Miller? Because I'm not. I'm going to be honest. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Jeremy Pena. Jeremy Pena's a stud. And that's at a premier position like shortstop, where we have Anthony Volpe, Jose Caballero, split in time. Not that I love Cabby. Don't get me wrong. I love Cabby. Not that I'm going to sit here and rip on Caballero. I think every Yankee fan has done their due diligence and their time at ripping at Volpe that I don't need to do it right now in front of this microphone. I think everybody knows how we feel about Anthony Volpe as Yankee fans. But if you were to look at me and go, hey, you got to give up Spencer Jones and a few picks or and a few prospects for Jeremy Pena to come be in pinstripe, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, let me know what you guys think, but I don't see a world where obviously if I see Spencer Jones and George Lombard in the same package, like that's something that I'm like, okay. If I even see Dominguez, like I'm saying the same thing about Dominguez, I think these two dudes have equal value, just maybe for different teams, and that's where you're going to see where each one of them could be expendable. Is they're going to be valued differently. You're going to be looking at Spencer Jones of a team that wants the power bat, while you're going to be looking at Jason Dominguez of a team who wants more of a all tool off, like a full tool offensive player. Like he has all the tools offensively. He might not be exceptional defensively, but he has all the tools offensively to be a very good MLB player. And I don't think, again, anybody could deny that. But if you are going to tell me that you are not willing to package either Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez for Jeremy Pena, Mason Miller, or these star players that are available that the Yankees want to go get, I think you'd be absolutely insane. I think you would be absolutely insane to say that you wouldn't want that. I mean, this is a team that, again, when I go back to the topic of the Yankees staying afloat, this is a team that competed with, I know it's only a 3-game series, in the middle of July. I understand what bearing does this have when it comes down to September baseball and October baseball. But this is a team that without Aaron Judge and without Giancarlo Stanton, you didn't get embarrassed by the Dodgers. Like, let's be honest. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say the Yankees got embarrassed by the Dodgers this past weekend. You won 2-1 on the second game of a doubleheader. First game of the doubleheader, yeah, you got hit around and got blown out. And then the first game of the series, it's one of those situations where Cole's having a good day on the bump. And he's your ace. So Garrett Cole gets the right sometimes to look at Aaron Boone in that picture, in that meeting on the mound, and go, I want one more batter. Go, give me the last batter. Let me get one more batter. And it just happened that it got blasted for a 2-run home run. It happens. But you can't sit there and say the Yankees weren't competitive throughout that game. And that's without Aaron Judge. That's without Giancarlo Stanton. And when you look at their schedule coming up too, like, you have the last 2 games of this Pirates series where I don't even know how that ended up as 8-5 yesterday. The Pirates looked like a Little League team. Literally looked like a Little League team. I don't know how that ended up 8-5, but you scored 8 runs. You won the game. That's all I care about. You win 8-5. You got your last 2 games against Pittsburgh to end the series tomorrow afternoon. And then, honestly, this weekend is big. You have a big series in between this. You're going to play the Phillies. You're going to play one of these National League team that's been playing well, coming off the All-Star break, coming off, a fun, exciting time. I think a Philly series is a big series for the New York Yankees. I genuinely do. I think how they perform in that series is going to be a big telltale sign of what they do this upcoming trade deadline. Because I can't reiterate the targets enough. I think everyone knows the targets. But you have just under a week. You have 6 days to start making your moves as the New York Yankees. Trade deadline's on Monday. You got 6 days to go get. And if you were going to ask me, what is my dream Yankee trade deadline? It's Ryan Jeffers and Mason Miller. As much as I love a Pena or a C.J. Abrams or someone to fix the middle of that infield a little bit more and get defensively locked down the middle of that infield a little bit more, and maybe, we go get Jeffers and Mason Miller and we go make a World Series and Volpe makes a costly error and I look back at this statement and I look like an idiot. But in my perfect world as the New York Yankees, if you could go get Mason Miller and Ryan Jeffers, you just became the best. You just became the best bullpen in the MLB with the addition of Mason Miller. You just became the best bullpen in the entire MLB. And then you fixed your problem of not having a righty catcher, and your 2 lefty catchers can't hit anyway. Austin Wells has been on the interstate for, since the season started. And I think everybody knows that JC Escara, and I'm forgetting his first name, but Sanchez are not MLB catchers. Like, they're not. They're not everyday MLB catchers. And nobody's going to argue that. So if you could go get a righty catcher that's going to make a big impact offensively like Ryan Jeffers, as well as a bullpen arm that is consistent. And think of that, too. If you happen to keep David Bednar in a move for Mason Miller, which I don't see how that happens. I'm assuming they'd want Bednar or somebody to fill their closing role. But you're telling me I have David Bednar as a setup pitcher, and I throw Mason Miller. I could pitch Bednar. I could pitch Mason Miller on Monday and Bednar on Tuesday. Give them both 2 innings. Yeah, like, I would hope. It would be a dream for the New York Yankees to be able to go get Mason Miller. An absolute dream for this team to go get Mason Miller. I really believe it. Sorry, just need a quick sip of water there. A nice, really nice reset for the vocal cords. I'm gonna move on from the Yankees though. That's really all I have to say about the trade deadline. I don't feel like a lot of people felt like Spencer Jones was expendable. He is. I think Jason Dominguez extremely expendable as well. And I said what my dream deadline was. I said what it was. I said who I think the Yankees should be going to get. Moving on to a completely different sport. You know, some little 1-2s. By the way, just got UFC 6, speaking of the UFC. If anyone's a gamer out there, I no one's in the chat today, so I don't think I'm getting any response, but let me know everyone's opinions on UFC 6. UFC 6 is fire. I'm a big fan of UFC 6. I'm playing a trial of it right now. I'm going to get it soon, but video games mad expensive these days, but you know. Speaking of the UFC. Oh my God. Drake is Duplessis, however you want to say it. Drake is Duplessis. I knew, I kept knowing I was saying it wrong. It was messing with my head. Drake is Duplessis beat the living hell out of Kamaru Usman on Saturday night in that UFC fight night in Oklahoma City. And first of all, I love UFC fans because I didn't even get, it was before I even woke up on Sunday morning that people were memeing the hell out of Kamaru's reaction to that decision. Like, he felt like he somehow won that fight. Where, can I not deny that Kamaru had his moments, and you could even argue that, like, you know, he won a round or two. You know, he wobbled DDP at the end of the third. He wobbled DDP at the end of the fifth and almost knocks him out. Like, there's some moments for Kamaru Usman in that fight. But, like, when I went back and rewatched that fight, because I didn't really watch it on Saturday night. I just saw the highlights and didn't realize it was such a good fight. So I went back, I put it on, watched the highlights, watched a little bit of the actual fight, you know, last little bit of it. DDP had so much dominance, and it was like one of those situations where, like, obviously Kamaru couldn't get to a single leg or a double leg or anything to get DDP to the ground where he wanted him to be, and that's something that I think has been very underrated about Drake so far in his career, is his ability to stay on the feet and not get taken down. And he's definitely struggled with that before throughout some other fights, but he did an exceptional job of it against Kamaru on Saturday night. And, I mean, I have the rankings pulled up. That's why you guys see me looking at my laptop right now. It's hard to say that DDP gets a title shot immediately because I think the Sean Hamzat rematch is bound to happen, and it's interesting to see how that goes. I don't see Sean fighting DDP or anyone like that again. I see Sean's next fight being Hamzat Chimaev. Like, I think that at this point, I don't know if that's even been announced, but I think that at this point is kind of set in stone. So when we look at, they have DDP currently ranked second. They have him as the second ranked middleweight. And when you look throughout, I'm at least just going to look at the top 10. He's going to fight a dude that's on the lower end. He's going to fight somebody who's also close to a title shot. More likely or not, Nassourdine Imanov. I don't know when Joe Pyfer got. Apparently, he's apparently on a crazy tear. I was unaware of that. I was unaware of Joe Pyfer shooting up the rankings to fourth in the rankings. So I mean, that's another one that could be extremely exciting. Those are two dudes who bang. But I mean, when it comes to the career of DDP, I think he's completely done something that not a lot of people have been able to do, and he's consistently. Excuse me. I feel Drakus when he is given the opportunity or given a situation where if he loses this fight, this is a change in pace for Drakus, and it obviously depends on how he loses his fight. You know what I mean? In certain fights that we have seen him lose, when he lost the belt to Hamzat, like that was one where he just got dominated in a world where he just didn't know where he was. But, we've seen him beat Sean Strickland. We just saw what he did against Kamaru Usman. And we've seen him in these situations where if he is put against somebody who wants to challenge him, he's just such a unique striker that the only way to beat him is taking him to the ground, it seems like at this point. And maybe I'm just so in the moment of what I saw him do against somebody who I held to such a high standard before these last few years. Pretty much pre-Leon. I held Kamaru Usman to such a high standard pre-Leon Edwards, and then, obviously the head kick happens and it changes Kamaru Usman's career trajectory, but DDP is that dude, man. I think he might be arguably the best striker in this division. I think he proved that when he beat Sean already. I think if you put him up against Sean right now, he'd prove again that he is the best striker in the middleweight division right now. And I think the only challenge for him is realistically Islam. Kamzat. Now, realistically, are you giving him Khamzat Chimaev right now after this victory over Kamaru Usman? No, because Sean Strickland and Khamzat would probably be ready around the same time for their rematch. They want them to rematch. But maybe you give, you throw DDP versus Nassourdine on that card. Or you throw DDP versus Joe Pyfer, DDP versus Israel Adesanya. Something like that. You know what I mean? You go DDP Adesanya too. Something along those lines of, okay, but when it seems like, what I was getting to before is when it seems like DDP's situation is on the ropes is when it seems like he performs the best. When he got to Sean Strickland and everyone was like, man, this might be early for a title shot for DDP. I think it's time that he kind of gets smacked around by someone who's a better striker than him. And he wasn't. And DDP was the better striker that night, at least. And I think he still is. But DDP was the better striker, and DDP proved that, oh, no, I'm not this dude who still needs to build to a champion. I'm at champion potential at the moment. And, you saw it in this fight against Kamaru Usman, where, yes, Kamaru Usman is still somebody who is a UFC Hall of Famer when it comes down to it. But Kamaru also is at a very hard part in his career where if you were as somebody at the height and power of DDP who, is sitting in the top 5 of the rankings, is coming off a title loss, you have a situation where you have to, if you lose to Usman, that is detrimental for DDP. And it seems he does it time and time again. I mean, you look down his fights. Like I said, Sean Strickland, a lot of people felt like he got that shot way too early. He proved them wrong. Went and won a belt. Izzy, the first time he fights Izzy, goes out there, performs well, wins by submission. In a shocking fight that got him that title opportunity. Even the first time, I forgot, he's fought Sean twice. He beat him by split decision the first time. I forgot about that. He's fought Sean twice, beat him both times. Like, this isn't a dude to mess around with. I think he's a dude that he's just happened to be in a spot where I don't see a world where he beats Khamzat Chimaev. That's the only problem. I just don't see a world where DDP could beat anybody in the middleweight division, not named Khamzat Chimaev. And I think that's the problem for Drakus. I think he's very talented. I do think he's genuinely the best striker in the whole UFC middleweight division. I think he's the best striker in that division. But when it comes down to it, he could go win the title against Sean. He's beaten Sean twice, as I just said. He could go do that. But the minute he's given Khamzat, I don't think he can beat him. Like, I just don't see a world where Drakus Duplessis beats Khamzat Chimaev. And that's what sucks for DDP. That's this limbo that Drakus is sat here and stuck in right now through this. Is this... This, I don't even know. Like, But, I mean, the middleweight division isn't in a limbo in general. I mean, like I said, we're looking at Joe Pyfer, who's young. Nasser Dean's pretty young, but DDP's the biggest up-and-comer as of right now, and he's been here. He's arrived. He's been arrived. He's had multiple title shots. He's won a belt already. Like, DDP has been here for multiple fights. He's beaten Whitaker 2-3 years ago, that was. So, I don't know. Like, let me go back to the rankings real quick. Do you, change weight? Like, that's what I mean if you're DDP. Like, you're in such this limbo of, there's just this one hill you can't climb. And you want to be able to prove to yourself that you can climb that hill. And it's odd that the hill isn't the champion. And the hill might not be the champion when you fight him. But he is still that one hill you can't get over. He is the yin to DDP's yang. Everything that is so awkward and unpredictable about Drakus Duplessis on the everything that is so unpredictable and so exceptional and next level on the stand-up game for DDP is something that for Khamzat Chimaev, he has that same version of it, but with his wrestling and his ground game. It is extremely unpredictable and unconventional, and is something that he's going to wrestle you till you are just tired and a shell of yourself, and he's just going to beat up on you while you're down there and just get you exhausted to the point that you can just, your body can't move anymore. Well, DDP, he said it. My favorite DDP quote, honestly, comes from the Khamzat fight. The Khamzat fight, anyway, which was, I don't even know what I'm gonna do, because DDP just be throwing, man, just flowing out there, and it's such a different stylistic of fight that at the end of the day will always lose to a fighter like Chimaev. And what does DDP want to do now raises the question, and that's a question we have to look at. And I think he's going to try to climb the hill one more time, but if he fails to climb that hill one more time, and the hill of Chimaev one more time, do you look at a situation where, maybe we see DDP? I can't even say that, because you look. I would say you want to go up in weight, but like the light heavyweight division's starting to get some studs in it with Oberg and the possible return of Alex Pereira down to the light heavyweight division, and I don't know, man. DDP's in a rough spot. That's all I could say. DDP's in this rough, weird limbo of the middleweight division where he's got to get over Chimaev. He's got to be able to beat Chimaev, or he's never gonna be that true champion that defends multiple times, and because Chimaev's always going to sneak up on him. He's always going to sneak up on him. All right. Now to football. Football's coming up, guys. As you guys can tell, I am including a lot more football in my show. We did a little bit talk about, I don't even remember what I talked about last week football-wise. I knew I talked about something. I'm blanking on it. But, excuse me there. But, as I was saying, so last week, I said this at the top of the show. Last week, I guess I missed it. Well, they weren't talking about it on ESPN or anything till today, so I thought the list came out yesterday. But then I saw the article on ESPN, and this list and the execs dropped this back last week. I believe it was on Monday of last week. This list was dropped, so I don't know how I missed it. But NFL executives dropped a list of their top 10 NFL quarterbacks. For those of you who haven't seen it, look it up. I mean, I will talk about some where people are, but I'm not just going to sit here and list you the top 10 and talk about it that way. But I think there's a few interesting things, especially going to the 2026 season, that you're going to see about this list that I'm going to talk about that really shows the mindset of NFL GMs and NFL execs and scouts and the dudes who had their hand on this list and what they truly think about of these top-tier NFL quarterbacks and who's right outside this fringe, who wasn't on this list that I was like, ooh, yeah, maybe they had a bad year, but, is this person really better than them? Is this person really better than them? So the biggest number one thing that I have to point out is I understand this. NFL executives, NFL GMs, NFL scouts, NFL fans, I understand this. Patrick Mahomes, when was healthy, was one of the most exceptional players in the NFL. Was probably the most exceptional player in the NFL most of the time. Patrick Mahomes played 6 games last year. Patrick Mahomes, best case scenario, is questionable for week 1. Why is he even on the list? And why is he at number 2? I have an interesting opinion on it because of that. Like, I don't think you can put Patrick Mahomes currently in the top 3 quarterbacks going into the 2026 season purely based off the fact of he's coming off a major injury. He's coming off 2 torn ligaments in his right leg. This isn't. We don't know what we're going to get out of Patrick Mahomes. So to put him as the second best quarterback going into this next season, I think is absolutely unreal. Especially when you have a player like Joe Burrow coming back. You have Lamar at 5 on this list. You have a lot of questionable things. So to have Patrick Mahomes at 2, I think, over Matthew Stafford, who surprisingly enough has stayed healthier than a lot of people on this list, over even Joe Burrow. You know, not calling Joe Burrow a top 3 quarterback in general to me is completely shocking. This is a dude that, like, I don't know if I just feel like, I don't know. This not having Joe Burrow in the top 3 to me is ridiculous because I feel like this is a dude that maybe I just have some feeling and some empathy towards him as a Saints fan seeing Drew Brees, but this is a dude that consistently on teams that defense is on bottom of the league. You know, he's the most hit quarterback in the league, and his numbers are still consistently out of this world, top of the league, good time and time again. So yes, has Matt Stafford been playing well in the Rams? Yeah, but this is all Matt Stafford's also a dude at the twilight of his career. You have at most 2 good years out of Matt Stafford, at most 2 years, period. You might only even have a year out of Matt Stafford. You don't know what you have left out of Stafford. So I think that's extremely interesting to not have Joe Burrow in this top 3. I think having him right outside at 4 is kind of blasphemy. I would have him above Matt Stafford on my list. Dare I say it. Matt Stafford coming off an MVP season, dare I say I'd rather have Joe Burrow at number 3 on my list. And I don't know. All right. This is the one that I think is going to be crazy for a lot of people. I think if we're going based off last year alone, and I don't know if they are, but I think we're going based off the last 2 years pretty much because this is a type of list that very much takes in a lot of recency bias. But even with the recency bias, like, yeah, you have people like Josh Allen and Matt Stafford and Lamar winning MVPs, but people are just discrediting people like Joe Burrow having him at 4. I think Dak Prescott also, I would have him at 5 over Lamar Jackson. I genuinely would. I think Lamar Jackson is an electric football player, but time and time again, I want to hate on Dak Prescott, and I'm going to be in that small group, that small minority that says this, that I try time and time again to hate on Dak Prescott because he's not necessarily this exceptional winner for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's on the Dallas Cowboys, which is a team that everybody loves to hate. But then I sit there in week 4 every year and I look at it, and the Cowboys are the best offense in the league. And Dak has the most touchdowns through 4 weeks and is 3rd in passing yards. And then we get to week 12 and Dak is second in passing yards and 5th in touchdowns. And Dak Prescott consistently just puts up those numbers and does whatever he can to at least try to push the Cowboys towards a win. There's just other things in this beautiful team sport that is football that just doesn't work out for him. But I think he's very exceptionally low at number 6, and I think Lamar Jackson's very exceptionally high at number 5. I'm taking Dak over Lamar Jackson. I'm taking Justin Herbert over Lamar Jackson. I'm taking Drake May over Lamar Jackson. All 3 of those guys I am putting on a list. Drake May is maybe crazy. I'll backtrack to Drake May a little bit. But I'll stand on business on the other 2. In a list of top 10 quarterbacks, I am putting Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert both over Lamar Jackson. The only argument you have is playoff success, and none of them have it. None of the 3 have it. And we're talking about a quarterback. Lamar isn't an exceptional quarterback. He's an exceptional athlete that plays the quarterback position. Like, Lamar is the best athlete in the entire NFL, and people don't accredit him for that. He's somehow a top 10 running back and a top 10 quarterback at the same time. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson isn't in the top 10. I'm saying he's not, but Lamar Jackson's not a top 5 quarterback. Lamar Jackson is not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now, and I will stand on that. Now, this is where my odd brain works, though. Lamar Jackson is a top 5 player, but not a top 5 quarterback because of the style of player that he is. The way that he breaks the game is not the way that necessarily a quarterback breaks the game. But the way that Lamar Jackson plays, is he a top 5 game breaker in the NFL? I'll use that term. Yes. He's a top 5 game breaker. He's a top 5 most important player. He's a top 5 most impactful player. But is he a top 5 quarterback? No, he's not. He's just not. Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson is. Go look at the stats. Justin Herbert is a more accurate passer than Lamar Jackson. Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson is. But Lamar Jackson is a better football player than both of them. That both can be true. Both can very much be true. That Lamar Jackson is a better football player than both of them. But that doesn't mean he's a better necessarily quarterback. Looking at the end of this list, too, I'm not going to lie. Drake May, I went down the list, and that's why I included Drake May on that. I backtrack. More I think about it, let me triple backtrack that. I'm never taking Drake May over Lamar Jackson as of right now as a better quarterback. I still think Lamar's a better quarterback than Drake May. Because I don't love Drake May at 8 on this list. I don't know, though. I think this 8 through 12, it gets very, very interesting, right? Because when you look at the few people that I feel like were left off that you at least deserve to mention, right? You have Jordan Love, right? Trevor Lawrence, Jaden Daniels, right? There's 11, 12, 13 for you, right? Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Jaden Daniels. You know what? I'll even add a 14. I'll even throw Hurts in this little group. Now we're getting into the Hurts, right? Like the Jalen Hurts worlds, right? I think it's very interchangeable, and when you have execs vote on it, it's a very telltale sign of how they feel about the league, because this is where recency bias comes into it. I think I'm taking Jordan Love over Drake May. I think you have a better argument on whether I'm taking Jordan Love over Jared Goff. And I think you have the argument on whether I'm taking Jordan Love over Caleb Williams. But I have an argument for Drake May, who they put at 8, and Caleb Williams, who they at 10. I think leaving Jordan Love off of that list is kind of ridiculous. I understand Caleb had a ridiculous season last year. Don't get me wrong. And Drake May had a Super Bowl appearance last year. And then we're talking about a Jordan Love who had a down year last year. But we're also talking about a Jordan Love who was injured last year. And that's what I also found very interesting about this list, is it feels like you graded injured. You took into effect that Jaden Daniels was injured last year, that Jordan Love was injured last year, so they were a little worse, so they weren't top 10 last year. But then you managed to put Mahomes at 2 like he wasn't injured for half of the season last year. So the execs got to make their decision. I think going into 2026, the 2026-2027 season, I think not having Jordan Love is ridiculous. I think, you're taking Jaden Daniels over, you're taking Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels. I don't know. I don't know. You're taking Drake May over Jaden Daniels. I don't know. You're taking either of them over Jalen Hurts. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't feel like anybody could really have it that. I feel like that group, the reason why I'm sitting here saying I don't know, and I think that's stupid for me to say on air, but when you break it down going into the season, I think at this point, that group of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that group of 8 quarterbacks right there is very indicative and very dependent on what they have around them for how they're ranked in that top 10. I think, sometimes it's Hurts when Hurts is at his best, Sometimes it is Caleb Williams when Caleb Williams is running in the pocket around. Genuinely, I don't think Drake May and Caleb Williams quite make the list yet. I think I maybe go with, Jordan Love or Jaden Daniels, or Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts. I still have Trevor Lawrence at like 12, 13, but he's even another quarterback that I feel like is in that same conversation. But when you bring up the fact that you have Mahomes at 2, like he didn't get injured, and then they grade all these other guys like this, I think going into this next season, a lot of people are going to learn that as good as Caleb Williams is, he might not be a top 10 quarterback yet. As good as Drake May is, they might not be top 10 quarterbacks yet. They just might not be at that point yet. But we'll see as the season comes along. There's a lot to happen. You could see a lot of breakouts. You know what I'm saying? Tyler Shook. Writing it down now. Tyler Shook, 25 and 20. 2,500, 20 touchdowns, baby. That's what I'm calling for my Tyler Shook. I'm excited for the Saints, man, too. That running back room should be interesting for the Saints. You know what I'm saying? Like, that running back room should definitely be really interesting with you got ETN. You now bring back Ingram. You have Kendre Miller. You got a lot of interesting things going on in that locker room. But, hey, no division is wide open as the NFC South, right, when it comes to the Saints. We'll see, though. We'll see how the season goes. I'm hyped for the NFL, man. I am hyped for the NFL. What else happened? Oh, World Cup. I didn't even bring up the World Cup. Shout out Spain. Spain gets their second World Cup since or their first World Cup since South Africa, second World Cup since the turn of the millennia. So shout out Spain, Lamine Yamal. I think everybody saw that photo of Messi and him as a child. So seeing them being able to play off in the World Cup final was kind of cool. Ended up being an exceptional game. I was watching it while I was out on the golf course. So shout out Spain. Congratulations to that. Anybody else see Donald Trump just looking like an idiot that whole time? Not like politically. Like I don't care about political opinions. If you guys blow him up in my comments, like I'm not calling anything he does or anything like that stupid or not stupid. I'm just saying the dude's a character half the time, and like, bro, he just stood next to Spain just to make sure he was in the photo when they rose the trophy. Like, that's hilarious. Like why? So funny. Who knows? Yeah, World Cup. UFC Fight Night this week is nothing I'm super interested in. You got the Yankees Pirates tonight. Like I said, trade deadline coming up there. Yeah, it's that time of year, guys. It's that time of year. We're kind of in along for another month until football starts. We're darn close. I think I'm going to call it there, boys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Good amount of views. I don't know if it's just my girlfriend clicking in and out consistently, but we moved a little bit today. So thank you, everybody who tuned in. Everybody who tunes in after, watches this when I post it as a recording. I appreciate all of that. I stopped posting them for a little bit. I want to start posting this back on Spotify as like an actual podcast, so please check it out over there on Spotify so that I can get some plays and some listeners, and I'm not just posting it and seeing 0 plays with 25 posts and all that. So, if you guys don't want to watch it on the YouTube, if you're busy, I went live today. If you're watching this late and you guys you're someone who's usually busy with this, I post it on Spotify on Wednesdays. Go check it out on Spotify. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Go follow me on socials. I'm at Log Show on X, TikTok, Instagram, everything over there. So go check me out over there. YouTube videos hopefully coming soon. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Logan. Peace out.